I was in my home. I read in the newspaper in Rochester that all citizens were encouraged to register to vote. And as I followed all the laws and paid my taxes, I was, of course, a citizen. So I gathered up my sisters and my mother, and we went down to the 8th Ward polling place here on Main Street in Rochester, New York. And to the shock of the registrars, we registered to vote. Then we went home and we waited to see what would happen. And several weeks later, it was time for Election Day. We gathered the same group up. We went back here to the 8th Ward polling place and voted. By then, they had expected us to come, and they were still unhappy about it, but they did not stand in our way. Then I went home and wrote to my dear friend, Mrs. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and said, "There, I've gone and done it." And sooner or later, a knock came at the door. My sister Mary answered. She informed me that it was a Marshal Keeney who had come to arrest me for the crime of voting as a woman and a citizen. I said I was not quite ready, and he said, "Well, just bring yourself whenever you're ready." I said, "Ridiculous, I'm certainly not going to do that." So I gathered my things, put on my bonnet, came down and said, "Now, if you are going to arrest me as a common criminal for the crime of voting in this great land, then you must put handcuffs on me just like a criminal." Well, of course, he wasn't about to do that. In preparation for my trial, I made many speeches here in Rochester, and that made them nervous because they were afraid I would convince members of the public. So they did a very clever trick. They moved the venue down to the Ontario County Courthouse in Canandaigua. I made numbers of speeches down there as well, but it turned out it didn't matter because Judge Hunt, that rascally fellow, whacked his gavel, dismissed the jury, and he pulled out of his robe a previously written conclusion that I was guilty. He fined me $100, and then he made an error. He said, "Does the woman have anything to add to the case?" And I certainly did. I had many things to say. Among them, I will never pay a single penny of this unjust fine.